Yeah, have your props. The strap too. We might even use a little bit of strap. Kind of do like the everything stretching. Okay, so this is going to be a yoga for athletes class. It's just deep stretching, taking sun salutations out, kind of like using yoga poses to get to the point of stretching with sport-specific stretching. Tonight is going to be a little bit more geared towards runners mostly, so a little bit of mix of mobility and stretching. So don't overstretch and just listen to your body. If something's not comfortable, just enter into a child's pose or lay on your back in Shavasana. So right now, let's actually start on our backs. Good. So on your back, I just want you to take the legs, lengthen them out. Just take a moment, settle in onto your back, let go of the neck, let go of the shoulders, even allow the legs just to naturally roll apart. So you're just letting go completely. Notice any sensations in your body. Just soften. Maybe close your eyes or keep your eyes open. Either way, it doesn't matter. I just want you to softly bring your lips together and just focus on a couple deep breaths through the nose, having the breath smooth, long, and complete. Good, and then just blink open your eyes a few times. Maybe take both arms, extend the arms out overhead, and just stretch out from fingertip to toe tip. And then hug both knees into your chest, lift the head up. Nose to your knees, squeeze those knees in. Then we're going to relax the head and shoulders back down. Keep hold of the right knee, lengthen your left leg down. And have you lower the right knee off to the left edge of your mat, leading with the left hand, guiding that right knee. And just extend the right arm out of the shoulder, looking off to the right. And then we'll take that right knee, hug it back into the chest, squeeze it in, switch legs. Left knee up to the chest and lower that left knee off to the right edge of your mat. So just same thing to the other direction. And let's take that left knee back up to your chest, hug that in. Left foot planted down onto the mat. Right knee, hug it up towards your chest. We're going to take a half happy baby pose. So the right arm's going to come to the inside of the right leg. You want to create a 90-degree angle with the right leg. So reach over the ankle bone for the outer edge of your right foot. Keep the foot above the knee and then gently pull that right thigh down towards the mat, maintaining that 90-degree angle. And then you have the option with this left leg. You maintain the bend in the knee or straighten that left leg down. And it's just going to enhance a little bit of a high hamstring stretch, hip stretch, but also a nice high hip flexor on this left side. Either way is fine. You just don't want any knee discomfort. Breathing. Good, and then gently release your right foot, and we're going to switch legs right away. You're going to take hold of that left foot. Remember, reaching over the ankle bone for the outer edge of your left foot. And just gently pull this left thigh down. And you have that same option. Right leg bent or right leg straight. So as you do this, make sure the right leg, the heel is touching the floor, and you're working that right hamstring to the floor as well. And at the same time, pulling this left thigh down. Good. Let's take it right up to full happy baby pose. So the right leg's just going to bend up, take hold of full happy baby pose, hug both knees down towards the floor. And then let's take both knees into our chest. Squeeze those knees in tight. And we're just going to roll right up to a seat. Circle your legs around into a downward facing dog. Once you're in down dog, just wake up the body a little bit more, pedal those heels, even change the positioning of the feet. So turn your heels out, toes in, Try to really get those heels a little bit closer to the mat, or just maybe reverse that direction, heels in, toes out. Good. And then relax your heels down. We're going to come forward to a high plank. Inhale. At this high plank, slowly chaturanga down to your belly. Keep the hands where they are. Uncurl the toes, separate the legs about mat width apart. Hands are just going to slide back a little bit. We're just going to do a low cobra. So in your low cobra, squeeze the glutes a little bit. Tuck your tailbone, engage your core, expand the chest forward, and start to lengthen your spine up. And as you do so, you might have a point where you're like, that's my spot. If you have a little bit more space, straighten those arms out, shoulders back, gaze up. Now let's take a child's pose. Good, and then from child's pose, the downward facing dog. All right, down dog. Right leg, sweep it up. And then step your right foot forward on the outside of your right hand. Good. Bending the front knee forward, so this is a low crescent. You're gonna straighten that back leg out, sink your hips, and try to get your gaze up high. So your shoulders are back. Trying to get your hips lower than your knees. And then we're gonna slide this right foot back to our down dog. Same thing with the left leg, sweep it up. And then step it forward on the outside of that left hand. And then back to our down dog. Right leg again, sweep it up, step it forward, sink the hips, look up, down dog. Left leg, step it forward. Good, holding, ball of the front foot, just angle it off to the mat a little bit. Back foot, you're gonna bend the back knee and hop the back foot forward for a wide yogi squat. Now for some, might need a block to sit on, perfectly fine. You can always use your elbows, take a seat, push your forearms or elbows onto these inner thighs and really open the chest up, pushing the knees apart. So if you're on the block, you can use this option. And again, there's 3 levels to this block. Otherwise, try to really sink your hips nice and low to the ground. Prayer hands. While you're in this, you don't want to round your upper body forward. You want to keep your chest open, shoulders broad, collarbones broad, and breathe. Good, and then palms of the mat. We're going to step back to our downward facing dog. From our down dog, let's sweep that right leg back up again. And we're gonna step it forward to a low lunge. Back knee lowers down and cushion that back knee if you need to. Good. So let's sweep those arms up. All right, push out of your low lunge, just a little bit. Want to square your hips up. So those right hips going back, left thigh forward, tuck your tailbone under, almost where your frontal bones are trying to touch your lower rib cage. Your left butt cheek glute, I want you to squeeze it. So let's actually take the hands to our hips, and this way everyone can kind of get that feel of their hips. Left glute, that's your left butt cheek. I want you to squeeze it so tight we're almost cramping. Squeeze, squeeze. Tuck your tailbone. Feel these frontal bones lifting up to your lower rib cage. Hips are squared up, so really pull this left thigh forward. Keeping your shoulders above your hips, maintaining that squeeze of that left glute. Bend your front knee. Sink, your body will stop, push back a little bit again. Don't let go of that squeeze, that left glute. Again, bend that front knee. So the target of this is the left high quad hip flexor. So you're just adding a little bit of movement, squaring those hips up, squeeze that left glute really, really tight. Keep the motion, don't move the hips, but extend the arms overhead. Right arm's gonna relax down. Tilt your upper body to the right. Keep that movement. Squeeze that glute so tight where it's almost gonna cramp. Once you push back, last one, release the glute and just sink nice and low. And then palms to the mat. Use your blocks if you need to. The hamstrings are a little tight. Runner's lunge. Add our runner's lunge, hips up, head, chest up. So what I'm going to have you add now in this motion from this right hip all the way down, we're going to add an internal rotation and external rotation. Include the movement of the hips. So as my toes turn to my left, my hips go to my right. So if your hamstrings are really tight, add the hips. If you want to restrict the hips a little bit to increase your mobility, restrict the hips and just move from the ball and socket of that right hip all the way down. This wakes up all of your hamstrings. Take the external rotation, and that's where your toes are going to turn to the right. Walk your blocks over to the right edge of your mat. Try not to lean to the right. Keep your hips in their low lunge or runner's lunge hips, and turn your body to the right. Head, chest up. Add a deeper flexion in that right foot. Try to get those toes to point a little bit more towards you. Head, chest up a little bit higher. Maybe try to turn your gaze over your right shoulder a little bit more. Breathing. Good, and let's walk our blocks back to the middle of the mat. Bend your right knee. Good. Take your blocks off the mat. Place your right palm on the inside of this right foot and sweep your left arm up to the ceiling. If you need some space and you're kind of feeling that back hip flexor or knee, just slide your back foot over towards the right edge of your mat. Good, and let's release that left palm down. Now I'm going to have you take a down dog, a three-legged down dog, and you sweep your right leg up, open up that hip, and we're going to take a pigeon pose. So swing your right knee forward behind the right wrist. Walk this back leg back. All right, so in your pigeon pose, if there's no knee discomfort, if you have a knee condition, the knee can go in the middle of the mat or go back to the figure four that we started out in class. If you're fine, back leg walks back, right knee off to the right edge of the mat, and be able to lower down to your forearms, keeping your hips squared up. Elbows can go wide. If you prefer, you can lower your forehead to a block like Lori has, or stack two fists, stack two hands. Try to lower the chin down. It's all about trying to get the chest to the floor first. And if you can get to that, then the arms extend out and forehead or chest to the floor, chin down. And then let's walk it all the way up to our hands for king pigeon, so a quad stretch. Now we'll kind of work our way down to the middle of this back quad. Go ahead and bend this left knee, reach back for the left foot, chest tall. So again, the hips are staying squared up. That back thigh is releasing down towards the mat, chest is tall, and then turn and look to your right. Good, if you have a little extra space, that's when you bend that elbow and pull that heel closer to the hip. So in our lunge, in our low lunge with our hip flexor movement, a little bit higher quad, hip flexor. Now we're working our way down that quad a little bit to the medial side. Gently release that left foot. All right, and then let's take a seat on this right hip. We're gonna circle this left leg around for double pigeon. Place this left ankle on top of your right thigh. If you feel that the knee is a little bit sensitive, you're welcome to lean back onto the hands and just hang out here with the chest up, or come to the bound angle. You're welcome to take this option as well. So in our double pigeon, make sure you have the props for the knees. You want to maintain the flexion in both feet, chest tall. So if you're feeling anything in the hip or knee, you want to be able to support it. If you do not, you're welcome to stay with everything squared up. And again, just be able to fold forward. Use your blocks if you need to. It's always nice to have the extension of the spine instead of rounding your spine. Allows you to go a little bit deeper. And you can just work your way down, breathing. If you feel like your forehead is a little bit closer to the floor, grab one of your blocks. Rest your forehead on the block as well. Just try to maintain a long spine, leading with the collarbones forward. Maybe the gaze is just a little bit more forward. And just release into this pose. And walk it back up to the hands. Have your blocks off your mat. Release both legs out in front of you. And when you do, shake out the legs a little bit. Massage out your knees. We always want to protect our knees. So kind of loosen all that up. All right, and then bend both knees, circle the legs around, and we'll take ourselves back to downward facing dog. Once you're in your down dog, sweep that left leg up. We're going to take it back to our low lunge. Left foot forward, right knee down, chest is tall. We're sinking into our lunge first. Make sure you cushion the back knee if you need to. Hips are going to push back. Let's take the hands back to our hips. So again, square your hips up. You want to tuck your tailbone under, right hip forward, left thigh back. Right glute's going to squeeze, and keep your shoulders over the hips. So keeping the frontal bones lifting up towards that lower rib cage, maintain that. I want you to feel your butt cheek almost like cramp. Then bend that left knee. Your body will stop you. You'll feel that tightness. Push back. So the focus here, high quad, hip flexor, a little bit of psoas too, this whole region right here. And just move with your breath. You don't have to hold this pose. This is a nice mobility for that right hip flexor psoas. And then let's release that, squeeze that glute, sink nice and low into your lunge, just stretch all that out. Now, reach over, grab your blocks if you're using that for the runner's lunge, hamstring stretch. Good, and again, there's 3 levels to the block or hands to the floor, whatever works for your body. And we're gonna start that mobility with our hamstring again. So start that internal rotation and external rotation. You're just moving that leg, waking up all the hamstrings. We have 3 hamstrings, and this is a mobility movement for all 3. You can add the hips, sway the hips, also side to side, or restrict the hips to increase the hip mobility of this left hip in the ball and socket. Good, and let's take the toes to the left. Try not to move the hips to the left, just walk the blocks over to the left edge of your mat. Put a nice flexion in this left foot, toes pointing back at you, head, chest up. Even turn your gaze over that left shoulder. Walk it back to the middle of the mat. Good, both blocks on the inside of that, and have the front toes turn forward. You're gonna sink into your lunge. Walk your blocks off the mat. Left palm flat on the inside of the left foot. Sweep your right arm up. Back foot, you can slide the foot to the left edge of the mat if you need to. Good, let's take that right palm down. Curl the back toes under, and you're gonna work your way to a 3-legged down dog. So bend that left knee, open up that hip. Good, and take that left knee forward for pigeon pose. So if there's any knee conditions, be able to slide the knee between the hands, take it to a figure 4 on your back, and then just start to settle in. And just notice the difference from the right hip to the left hip. Maybe this side you gotta go a little bit slower, it's a little bit tighter. And just make any adjustments that you need for your body. And start to walk it all the way up to the hands. At your hands, right hand, right foot, king pigeon. And even right here, you want to be able to allow that right thigh to roll down, keep the hips squared up, chest tall, and then turn and look to the left. If you have a little extra space, pull that heel to the hip. Try to keep that thigh sinking down, or just keep that foot back, chest tall. Good, and then gently release that right foot. Take a seat on that left hip. Right leg's gonna circle around for the double pigeon. And even in the double pigeon, if you need to, use blocks underneath the knee, maybe to sit on. Everyone is gonna be different. Some people, it might be best to rest your forearms on the blocks, maintain a long spine. Otherwise, if you have any knee conditions, back to the bound angle, maybe place a block between the feet. Good, and then just start to walk it back up to the hands. At the hands, I'm gonna have you take both legs out in front of you, shake them out, massage out your knees. Good, and then circle your legs around onto your knees. So I'm gonna have you guys sit on your knees, and then bring your big toes together and be able to sit on your toes. We're gonna take a toe sit. All right. We good? We okay? Okay. So in our toe sit, at any point this becomes uncomfortable, you're welcome to sit here on your ankles, but try to hold toe sit a little bit longer. So in your toe sit, sit up tall, shoulders are back, shoulders above the hips. Take your arms, reach your arms out of the shoulders. Open the chest up a little bit more. You're gonna take your right arm, reach your right arm up, left arm down. You're gonna bend your elbows and you're gonna just place the hands onto your back. So I'm not asking for you to reach for the fingers for cow face arms. Just tap your back, reach back up and around, and really increase your range of motion. Just try to get your fingers as wide as you can, increase your range of motion, and reverse that. And just keep that motion. This is a really good shoulder mobility and toe flexibility. Really separate those fingers, engage the whole arm, keep your belly pulling in, keep your chest tall. Keep breathing. Toes are probably starting to feel this a little bit. Let's do one more time each arm. So we started with the right, finish with the left. And once you do, take a break. And then uncurl the toes, ankle sit. Okay, at ankle sit, let's just do some neck circles. So just allow your head to kind of just big, big, big circles all the way around. If you prefer to do half, do half if it feels better on your neck. Otherwise, just really increase this range of motion. And then let's reverse that. Good, and then allow the head to fall forward, chin to chest, and then just gently place both hands on the back of your head. Pull your chin a little bit closer to your chest. Good. Release the hands, lift the head, and then right ear, right shoulder. And as you're doing this, extend the left arm out. I'm not mirroring you guys, so I apologize, but you're gonna take your right hand to the left side of your head, gently pull the right ear towards your right shoulder. If you have a little extra space, just crawl this left hand forward, out to the side a little bit more. Good, and then we'll switch. And then left hand down. And just be able to relax the head back, look up. And then take your lower jaw, lower teeth, I want you to lift them up higher towards the ceiling. Like you're trying to get the teeth higher than the front teeth. Good, and then relax. All right, let's take a seat, grab a light blue block. And we'll be kind of pretty much finishing up with some ankle mobility. Grab a light blue block, place it flat out in front of you, and rest your right calf muscle on this block. So runners, you're gonna feel this one. This is a really good one. So we'll be doing this one and then one more thing. So I want you to rest your calf muscle on the block. I don't want you to move this leg, your knee, or your shin bone. You're not moving anything. But I want you to flex your toes back at you and then point. Flex, point. And notice how your shin bone is not moving, right? Okay, flex. Now look at our foot is like a rectangular, right? So your right big toe is the upper left corner, right pinky toe is the right upper corner, okay? Same thing with the heel. So I want you to take just the foot, not the shin bone. I want you to point your toes to the upper left corner and then over to the upper right corner. Don't move the shin bone, just the foot. Good, come to neutral, point the toes, and the foot, same thing. Don't move that shin bone. Now, let's work with that whole rectangular. Don't move the shin bone. This I've noticed creates a lot of concentration. Everyone takes this one really serious. Reverse the direction. And then point and flex, kind of neutralize that. Maybe do some circles. Perfect, other side. All right, rest that on there. Point, flex, and now you kind of know what to expect on this round. Keeping the joints loose and mobile. Good, flex the toes back at you. Upper corners. Just don't move that shin bone. Side to side. Point the foot, lower corners. then the full rectangular every corner. And make that range of motion bigger without moving the shin. Reverse. Good, and then just do some big circles and just loosen that up. All right, now let's work your way down onto your back. And on your back, grab your light blue block, and we're just gonna elevate the legs. We're just gonna flesh out the lower body. Any lactic acid buildup, any inflammation you might be feeling. And with this, if you're having insensitivity in your back, there's 2 levels that I usually recommend, the flat level or the second level. I just want your back to be comfortable resting on the block, so make any adjustments higher or lower along the hips and be able to elevate the legs. Good. And you can even do the ankle mobility with the legs elevated too. So we'll just kind of do some circles with our ankles. Reverse those circles. Good, and then just slow that down. And then like as we did as we started out in class, I'm gonna have you bend your right knee to your chest, extend the left leg down. So this will get into a nice hip flexor stretch right here. Be able to straighten that left leg down, at least try to get the heel to the floor as you hug your right knee towards the right shoulder. If you can get the left foot flat, that's good too. And let's switch legs. Good, and let's take both legs straight up. Can take the legs wide apart, kind of get into those inner hamstrings a little bit. Those legs back up. Good, and just take a few more deep breaths. We'll add a nice back bend. So lower one foot back down to the floor, and then the other leg will follow. And then just extend those legs back out. So walk your heels towards the top of your mat. Take both arms, reach those arms overhead, and just keep walking the hands back behind you. Walk those heels closer to the top of the mat. Just kind of stretch out that whole front body. And then let's take the arms back down along the sides. Bend both knees. Have you lift your hips up. Remove the block and gently lower your hips down to the mat. Maybe hug your knees into your chest. And just a nice, easy spinal twist. Both legs, glue them together, and you're going to lower both knees off to the right edge of your mat. Extend the left arm out of the shoulder, look to the left. And then take both of those knees back up, and then to the left. Look to your right. And then take both legs back up. Keeping the knees and ankles together, I'm going to have you lower the feet down to the mat. And then our relaxation is going to butterfly the knees apart. You can place some blocks underneath your knees if you need that extra support for the knees. Either second level, flat level, or no blocks at all. Your choice, whatever is just going to help with your low back and be able to relax. You can even rest your hands on the thighs, turn your palms face up. But for your relaxation, you can be here for at least 5 minutes or longer to 10, 15, 20. But give yourself some time to relax and be in your relaxation. Namaste.